Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to begin with some administrative notes. The event is recorded, so please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Please turn on your video and have your full name showing so that our presenters can see their audience. I'll be going over the rules of engagement a little bit later prior to the panel, and help facilitate connections by providing your name and point of contact information in the public chat channel. Include what you offer to serve the community, or if you are seeking support or specific expertise from the community. The chat will be saved before the end of the meeting. I'll clean it up of any superfluous conversations, and then that will be shared to all attendees of the meeting in an email tomorrow. Everyone who has registered for the event will receive a link to the recorded program early next week. All right, very good. We will go ahead and get started with the program. So the first slide. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am Emma Toops. I'm the Executive Director for American Warriors and the facilitator for the Purple Connection. This event is hosted and sponsored by Toops Consulting, LLC. David and I are connectors, coaches, and consultants in our business, and we thank you all for being here. Especially welcome to those who are new to the Purple Connection. For our new attendees, thanks to whoever invited you. They felt you would be a good fit or might benefit by contributing or participating in the community. And to our regulars, it's good to see you again. Next slide for the agenda. I'll first go into an introduction of American Warriors and the Purple Connection. All right, go ahead. Next slide. American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club, which is a private business club with the philosophy that business flows out of relationships. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust, and thus members are committed to creating solid connections by learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. American Warriors are club members who have an affinity with or support those who have served our country in the military or in public service. The mission statement for American Warriors is provide educational and networking opportunities for veterans who are leaders now in business and support the transition of active duty service members into private and public sector business. The Purple Connection is one vehicle for American Warriors to fulfill its mission. Next slide. The challenges of transitioning from the military is a very well-researched problem. It's evident by the multitude of military support nonprofits and community organizations that provide support to address those challenges. Driving Community Impact was a white paper published in April of 2015 by the IVMF of Syracuse University. They did research for several years, received thousands of surveys, and they found that the leading gap is not that there is a lack of services and support, but really what it is the lack of connectedness of the service and support. Very often, transitioning military feel a loss of purpose. They feel isolated or misunderstood, or they feel overwhelmed for the need for help, but are disconnected or lack affinity to the people or the culture of their new environment. So how do you solve it? You create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting American Warriors. The Purple Connection is a community of partnered stakeholders with a common focus of service, support, and care so that we can effectively address the challenges of transition. Next slide. So what's up with the name? There's actually two reasons for it. In government jargon, the color for joint is purple. When our military is operating overseas on a deployment, that environment is comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities, all with differing purposes. but they have a common purpose through the operation that unites and focuses their effort. So the Purple Connection is an attempt to replicate this type of joint environment to support the American warrior in transition. Now, another reason is that when you combine the colors of red and blue, you get the color purple. So in the Purple Connection, we are facilitating the connection of individuals who identify more closely to either the military community or the military support and business community. And when they come together, it's a Purple Connection. So here's the vision and mission of the Purple Connection. We create awareness to enable access and then empower action through collaboration and encouragement to expedite reintegration, support growth and healing, and enable opportunities. We do this by regularly bringing together community experts and facilitate connections through educational networking. Next slide. So here are the rules of engagement for our panel program and our networking. Each participant will have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. There will be a timer. The time can be stopped short and given back for Q&A, or it can be used up entirely by the panelist. However, when the timer goes off, please wrap up and we'll move on to the next presenter. Once each panelist has spoken, there'll be 15 minutes for Q&A with the entire community. If you are uncomfortable with public speaking or you want to remain anonymous with your question, you can private chat your question to me and I will ask it for you. Please be succinct in your questions and direct them to a specific panelist or to the community if it is a more general question. If you have a complicated question, you may ask it to discover if there is a subject matter expert in the audience. But if a response would take longer than 2 minutes to address, then I would recommend that you follow up with me or someone who may have suggested they know someone and have that be done after the event. Okay, after the Q&A, there will be 8 minutes for a transition tip. This is an educational presentation for a paradigm, process, or resource that applies to the topic of the day. After the presentations, if you haven't already, share in the public chat channel your point of contact information and how you serve or need support from the community. The chat will be saved and all attendees will get a cleaned up copy in a future email, and you can follow up with each other as you like. I will do event announcements and then wrap up the event. All right, very good. So our first presenter is our military spouse entrepreneur. Melissa McFarland was previously a registered nurse, but has been a business owner for over 9 years now. Her husband, Chris, is an Army veteran and business owner as well. Melissa, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, you are up.
All right. So yes, I'm Melissa McFarland. My husband, Chris, he's actually Marine Corps veteran.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's totally fine. When we got married, well, right before we got married, he had a tour at Iraq. And then when he got home, right after that, we got married. We've been married 15 years now. I was an RN, he was an electrician. We had 3 kids. And then I just decided that I don't really like nursing. I want to be my own business owner. So anyway, 9 rounds came along and we opened 5 of those. We were the first in Missouri. Our whole family thought we were insane. We were fine, but we were paycheck to paycheck. We never, no matter how much you work, if you're not your own business, like if you're making money for someone else, it's just hard to ever get ahead, right? So we took the plunge. We both quit our jobs and we just dove in. And through the 7 years of owning the gyms, if you've ever owned your own business, then number one, the hardest part about owning your own business is employees, hands down. And these days it's hard to really find good ones. But so through all that, we just grew and learned so much and became very passionate about helping other people become their own business owners, because it's just so freeing and it just opens so many opportunities. And we find that, so many people are so scared to take the leap. I mean, it's intimidating and it's scary because what if you don't know that security is not there? So along the whole gym thym, we ended up selling in November of 2019, not knowing that in just 4 short months, COVID would hit, right? I mean, that's like a gym owner's worst nightmare. I'm sure the guy that bought my 2 gyms remaining. I mean, I don't think he's loving his life right now. I mean, gym industry is hard enough as it is, right? Like, I mean, you have a lot of competition, and fitness is just really hard to make a lot of money. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But anyways, during this, some of the other 9-round owners started buying into the franchise called HydroDog. And if you've ever seen HydroDog, it's this big blue dog, like think Dumb and Dumber. When I first saw it, I was like, I'm not driving that. Like a reputation to uphold. Okay, right? So without knowing what I know now, it's brilliant because with most businesses, what do you have to do the most besides hire and train employees is market. I mean, you have to constantly be marketing, constantly be talking about your business to someone. And with this, it was literally 80% of your marketing is driving that thing around, and you can't miss it. And who knew there was a shortage of mobile groomers? Okay, this is not where I mean, I like dogs. Dogs are great. Did I think I was going to be in this industry? No, but it just happened. And with anything, you can become passionate about things that you learn about. And as I was learning about HydroDog, just from all, like, I feel like I went from the hardest business of fitness, one of the hardest industries, to one of the easiest, which is dogs. Like, who knew? Everyone loves their dogs. A lot of people take care of their dogs before themselves. They're going to pay for their dogs to get groomed before they pay for their gym membership. That's for sure. Right? So, through all this, and I forgot to say too, my husband, Chris, so with the whole 9-round thing, he was a welder too. He fabricates and all of that. And we got really lucky and got in really early and at the right time. And he got to do the hangmen, which are like the steel hang and 9-round for like the whole franchise. I mean, it was amazing. We were so blessed. And he is really good at what he does. And you know what else? Even when I was hiring for the gyms, like, military are the best employees. Like, and this is to be your own business. They're just hard workers. They're good rounded, like, they're just good people. They have their crap together most of the time, right? Sorry, I shouldn't say that word. Anyway, so my husband's the hardest worker I've literally ever met. I thought I was a hard worker, but he is diligent. 3:15 every morning, does his workout, does his routine. Doesn't matter. I'm like, sleep in, bro. Like, it's fine. No, he does not. Anyway, so with HydroDog, I have found that, like, through this whole thing, I just have become passionate about helping other people become their own boss and enjoying that freedom. And what I love about this is you don't have employees. It's a solid business model. You get in for $67,000 all in, which is super cheap for a franchise. And you have all kinds of support. And I mean, I could talk for days on that, but our main passion now with HydroDog and just the founder and everything, like, their mission is to decrease the euthanasia rate in the US. They're from Australia. They don't kill dogs in Australia like they do here, right? And so their kids had found out about it and they were super successful in Australia. They brought it here. They toured in a big HydroDog bus for like 3 years doing Bathe to Saves. So now Bathe to Saves are part of our events that we just do. Like, we'll go to the shelters and wash dogs, and just, I've seen it happen. A dog that has been there for months and months gets a bath and they get adopted because they're happy. They show better. They smell good and people want to take them. It's insane. It's awesome. So we do that. We try to do it once a month. We hadn't been doing it that often because of COVID. I feel like I've been talking a long time. So Emma, if I don't hear the timer, just yell at me. So,
You have a minute and 40 seconds. You're
okay.
doing fine.
Okay. So part of the franchise too is just that giving back, but also mobile grooming is, I mean, Greg, okay, my first franchisee that I got here, I am the area developer for Kansas and Missouri, by the way. So I don't groom anymore. I bring them on and then I coach them throughout. I walk them step through step every way, make sure they're successful doing their things that they need to do, which there's not many with this business. Like you really have to not do much to not succeed, if you know what I mean. Like it's just, it blows my mind. And sometimes when I used to drive that big blue dog, I'd just be driving it and people would be like, and I'm like, what? Oh yeah, I'm driving this. Okay, that's fine. You know, but gosh, it brings so much business and it makes people smile. So, I would love to be able to get to the military, people as well that have come back. And we have special financing that we can help with too. Anthony is awesome, the founder, about all that stuff. So that's really my passion. And I could go on a tangent and I feel like I've been every direction. So I'm sorry. I'm going to wrap it up and let you ask a question if you need to.
All right. You have 20 seconds. We have time for maybe one really short question before we move on. Anyone? Okay. Well, what we can do is just move on to the next presenter. Okay.
I got a quick question. What's the revenue per month per truck on average?
Okay, I was going to say that about Greg, my first franchisee that came on. So really quick, he was a mechanic for 25 years, did about 65K a year, working 45 hours a week. His first year after expenses, he's at 105, working an average of 35 hours a week. So the cost of expenses is about $3,500 a month. You can easily bring in 10 a month, working 3 to 4 dogs, 4 to 5 days a week. So it's good.
All right. Very good. Thank you for that question, Seth. All right. Go ahead and bring up the next slide. And I will introduce our next presenter. Okay. Thank you, Melissa. That was really great. Okay. Our next presenter is our community organization. Ryan Scott is a small business startup advisor with VetBiz, which is in partnership with the Small Business Administration. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Ryan, you are up and you have 8 minutes.
Oh boy, awesome. Well, first of all, thank you guys for letting me take some time out of your afternoon to talk with you guys about VetBiz and the SBA. I'm going to be throwing a lot of information at you guys and trying to drop a lot of links in the chat. And so I apologize if it's kind of overwhelming. But what I do, like Emma said, my name is Ryan Scott. I am the Compliance Associate Startup Business Advisor for VetBiz, Veterans Business Resource Center. We are a nonprofit that's located. Hey, can you guys hear me? It showed that I got muted, sorry. Anyway, we're a nonprofit located here in St. Louis, Missouri, and what we do is we're partnered with the SBA, as Emma mentioned, and we work as a Veterans Business Outreach Center. And so I always joke when I'm around with other veterans, and I tell them, I know you probably never have heard an acronym before, but we're VetBiz at VBOC. And so some people think it's funny and some people don't. And I tell them, I'm like, well, there's a reason I'm a consultant and not a comedian. So, but anyway, what we do is we work with veterans and veteran family members in the area of entrepreneurship. And so whether it be a veteran or a family member that, you know, has a business idea but doesn't know what to do with it, or if it's a veteran or family member that's been in business for 20 or 30 years, we offer consulting services, mentoring. We do a lot of one-on-one sessions. We help determine, you know, feasibility. Is this a good business idea? Is it a good business idea for you, or is it a better one maybe? You know, we talk strategic plans, things like that. We help in business planning. We don't write business plans necessarily for clients that we work with, but if we have a client that is developing a business plan or a strategic plan, we're there to serve as a second set of eyes, if you will, and kind of talk with them about it and help them in that editing and refining process. And then we offer a lot of training events. One of the main things that we do here at VetBiz is we do the Boots to Business program. It's offered to veterans through the TAP program whenever they get out, and it's basically like a 10,000-foot overview of entrepreneurship. It's a 2-day course, and we just kind of highlight a lot of the need to knows and kind of get your brain going type of things that people are considering getting into entrepreneurship. And then we also offer a reboot program on that. So if there's a veteran or a veteran family member that hasn't been able to, or that didn't go to a reboot or go to the Boots to Business, excuse me, the reboots are there available to them. And it's a one-day course where, again, we just kind of cram all that information in and highlight the entrepreneurship kind of lifestyle and things like that. And then we also kind of pride ourselves on being kind of a navigation tool for programs and resources to veterans and their family members. When it comes to entrepreneurship, we kind of adopted the motto of, right resource, right information, right time. And so there's a lot of different programs and a lot of different partnerships with the SBA that we kind of help try to get people to, because we cover a large area. There's only 22 VBOCs across the United States, and each one covers their own region. So we're privileged to be able to cover Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, and Southern Illinois. And so we're located here in Missouri. And oftentimes when we get clients in Nebraska or Iowa or Kansas or some other parts of Missouri, it's more beneficial for us to get them linked in with their local resources, whether it be some of the other SBA partnerships that I'm about to talk about or things like that. And so we like to just try to make sure that at the end of the day, we're being as beneficial and as efficient as we can with the clients that we work with so that they can have the best chance of success. But talking a little bit more about the programs that the SBA offers, the first one I'll mention is SCORE. It's the Service Corps of Retired Executives. It's a free mentorship program that is comprised of volunteers. I think they have over 10,000 volunteers now across the U.S. that work with SCORE. And they have, I think last time I heard, over 300 different local chapters throughout the United States. And what they really do is they focus on that mentoring aspect, whether it's, someone with in that initial idea phase or someone that's running a business. They're there to provide their industry expertise that they've had and helping in that individual. And then they also help with business planning, kind of similar to what we do. They have tools and templates that they'll help work with clients on. They do a lot of workshops. They do both in-person and online events. They have live sessions for their online events as well as recorded ones. If you give me 1 second here, I'm going to drop a link to SCORE or to their website in the chat for you guys while I'm talking. And so they're very good about partnering you with people that are industry experts and it's similar to what you do or what you're getting into. The next one that I'll talk about is the Small Business Development Centers that the SBA has, the SBDCs. There are currently 62 lead SBDCs across the states. There's one in each state. Some states have more than one. But in total, they have over 900 different locations that you can access. Most of them are going to be on college campuses and places like that. But they're there and they do similar to what we do as a VBOC, except they just cover a smaller region. And so sometimes it's more beneficial for clients to work with an SBDC because they're able to really get you connected to those local resources that know your community, that know what's out there, what's available to you. And so again, they focus on business plan development. They help with, putting together your financials and things like that for whenever you go before a lender to make sure, you have rock solid financials, a rock solid business plan, you're ready to go. They help do market research. They help with manufacturing assistance and they help with disaster recovery as well. And so let me drop a link to them as well in the chat. There's that one. And then the next one is the WBCs, the Women Business Centers. And what they were is they were created to really try to help women get into the area of entrepreneurship. And so I try to always tell people, we work with veterans at VetBiz, but you don't have to be a veteran to work with us. We'll work with anybody that comes through the door. And it's the same thing with the Women's Business Centers. You don't have to be a woman to go to a WBC. That's just who they specialize in helping with. And so there's over 100 WBCs across the United States, and they offer a lot of different training events and webinars that are very beneficial to startup business people. They do a lot of counseling. They have, access to capital and fundraising assistance, so they can kind of help you within that area. And then they also have a lot of different organizational development tools and kind of best practices. And again, just sharing the knowledge that a lot of their volunteers, a lot of their staff have gained from working in that small business space. So let me drop. And I know this is a lot of information and it's very very top level information. It's not deep at all. I'm trying to drop these links in here so you can get more to it. And then, so the next one I'll talk about really quick is PTAC. It's the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And so a lot of veterans that we work with are looking to get into government contracting. And so PTAC there's a PTAC in each state. And what they specialize in is they specialize in government contracting. They know, they're able to help you determine, okay, is my business to the point ready to where I can work with government contracting? They help you with getting registered properly in the different databases for government contracting. They help in determining, okay, what type of small business certifications are you eligible for as a business, whether it be, a woman-owned business or a veteran-owned business or a minority-owned business. And then they also are able to provide you with a lot of research information and data on previous government contracts that have been awarded. And that really helps people prepare for current government contracts that are out there because they can see what the government is looking for.
Okay, that's the timer.
Awesome. So I'll finish dropping the links in the chat so everybody can have them. And I apologize it's such brief information, but I appreciate you letting me speak, Emma.
Oh, absolutely. I knew you had a ton of information, but that's the reason why we use the chat channel, so that, that will get captured, that will get saved, and everything that gets dropped into the chat channel will get shared to everyone who attends. Unfortunately, people who only listen to the recording don't get privy to the chat channel info. They do get the information of the recording. So when you say those things, they're just going to have to do a little bit more research or call you, right? To get the information that you dropped in the channel. So thank you so much. That's a lot of information. All right, we will move on to the next presenter. Our next presenter is our military-friendly company. Megan Stanek is a franchise consultant for FranNet. Megan, I know you're there. You're up next. You have 8 minutes.
Thank you so much, Emma. And I just want to echo in a certain way with all the things that Ryan just said are amazing resources for anybody that is actually looking to get into business ownership. So the organization I work with is called FranNet, and we are a 30-year-old franchise consultant company. So we basically work with individuals that are pursuing business ownership, but not necessarily sure what businesses would be the good fit for them, if this is even something that they want to do, and what questions to ask. So we do a lot of educational webinars for individuals to get a better perspective of, well, what is self-employment? You don't necessarily get a paycheck, like Melissa had said, like every 2 weeks. But what does that look like when you're actually looking at your revenue and your predictions and all that kind of stuff? So we actually have national relationships with SCORE and SBDC as well. I have a couple local relationships with the SBA. And just like what Ryan said, all of those volunteers are amazing to be able to help answer any questions that you might have on a business model, on how to scale up, is my idea relevant in this area and all that kind of stuff. So I highly encourage you, for those that you are listening to the recording, do the research and take the time to Google it, because that stuff is amazing. So about myself, like I had mentioned, I work with clients that are looking at business ownership, but not necessarily knowing where to start. The best thing about my services is that they're actually for free. So I work with clients to build a business model with them to identify, well, what is it that they actually want from a business? What is it they don't want from a business? So I kind of take the approach of the Cheshire cat. If you don't necessarily plot out where you want to go, then it really doesn't matter which way you go. But I try to make it more business savvy so that you have a better success rate for getting into the business that you're going to be successful at. Similar to what Ryan said, I do some boots to business transition workshops as well for individuals just trying to look at what this looks like. I have worked with a handful of military members that have already transitioned out or are in the process of transitioning out of the military to identify what are some of those concepts that they can look at. So Like I said, I build business models with people. I liken myself to a GPS. So I'm that person that says, oh, you're off course, take a right again, or take a U-turn and all that. But ultimately, I tell people that they get to decide where they want to go. I will make recommendations of different franchises that are actually looking for their assets, for their skills, and for them as a potential person within their system, because they've seen that that kind of personality trait has actually been very successful for them. But if I make recommendations for people, and Melissa, kind of like you had said, you didn't necessarily consider yourself as like a dog groomer before, but when you actually saw the business model, you're like, I can do this all day long. I got this. I like what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it. I get to, have some of that mission that just lifts me up. So I get to make those introductions to people. And then I get to go through the entire due diligence process with them. So if at any point they're just like, Megan, I don't think this was the right fit for me, or I'm not too sure about this, we can take that franchise off as a potential or as an option for them, and really focus in on which franchises are tracking best for them. Trying to think of other questions I often get. If you guys have any, I can certainly answer them for you as well. Something that Melissa had mentioned too, that the franchises say the same thing. They're looking for people that will follow their system. So in that regard, they love military members because they know that they're going to follow the systems that are in place. They're going to be successful with it. And they're hard workers, incredibly hard workers. So they love military members. Most of the franchises within the inventory that I actually have, they will offer some sort of a military discount for the franchise fee, just to be able to say, like, I'm really interested in these candidates as well. As far as the franchises that I represent, I actually have over 250 different franchises. So we have things in the home services arena. We have things in, just like Melissa, like in animal care. We have things in business to business consulting. We have items in, we do have food, we do have retail, senior care. Gosh, there's so many different concepts that I'm forgetting about. If you want to be a semi-absentee owner, where it's something where you want to continue to have a regular day job, but want to have another source of income coming in for yourself as well, you're able to put that into the business as well, or that you are able to actually start a business and just run it from a high level, being more semi-absentee. We have those models as well. What's great is that I'm local to the Kansas and Missouri areas. However, like I mentioned, I'm working with, and you guys might find this comical. For me, I was like, I'm working with a couple right now that they're transitioning out, and they're based in Kansas. And I said, okay, where do you guys want to be? And they said the Southeast. And I was like, Southeast of Kansas? And they're like, no, the Southeast of the United States of America. And I was like, gotcha. So that opens it up quite extensively. And they're like, yeah, like we don't really have like a home base. We're in the military for 26 years. Home is where the military tells us to go. We don't understand what this choice is. So working with them to kind of figure out what's going to be the best business for them and their family, but then ultimately, like, where do they want to go? Because they finally get to pick it. So really, I just would like to be a resource for anybody that is potentially looking at what does business ownership look for them. We have a client bill of rights that we offer to all of our clients, so that they know that at any point in the discovery process, if they decide that franchise ownership is not for them or business ownership is not for them, they can respectfully exit out, and there's no ill will or repercussion or anything like that. Similar to Ryan, I'm going to put in a link that I have, so that if you want additional information about, getting on my newsletter or getting additional information, there's a link in there that will allow you just to put in your information and reach out to me as well. But that's a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions that I might be able to answer for them?
Okay, I don't have a question specifically. You have a minute left on your 8 minutes, but I would like you to talk to the community about the assessment survey. For those who kind of have an entrepreneurial spirit, they've been an organizational leaders, like, you know what, haven't really ever thought about this, but talk to them about that.
Perfect. Thanks, Emma. So what we do is we have something called a personal franchise assessment. It's similar to like the Myers-Briggs DISC assessment, but it kind of goes to the next level up of like, well, what are your motivations as far as a leadership style? What is it that kind of drives you? And it gives us a better idea of a general overview of what kind of concepts would be a good fit for you to have discussions about. It's great because a lot of times when I show it to my clients, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is so spot on. But it will tell you kind of some of the things that what you hate, you know, like I don't have a lot of patience. If somebody's not going to do what they say they're going to do and they don't do it, like it just drives me up the wall. So it's like, okay, like we might be doing something where it's just like you have smaller staff or something of that nature. But it allows us to have an idea of, you know, if you're an achiever and you just love to have lofty goals and want to have a challenge to be able to meet, there's some really cool concepts that it's like they love working with achievers. Then we have some that it's like if you're societal, you want to be able to really give back to the community, and what are those concepts that actually give you that mission of being able to serve again in another capacity. Likewise, we have a number of franchises that actually, Emma, like what you had said at the very beginning about, you know, having that fulfillment that you still have from the military, but not having it necessarily out in lay life, if you will. We have some franchises where their main focus is serving military members so that they still have that post service and all that kind of stuff. So there are some really cool concepts that we've been able to have within our inventory that are great for retiring military members, and also just still having the qualities that the military has instilled in them as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, we actually are in the Q&A period now. So any questions that are specific to our three panelists, or just in general to the community, if there is a general kind of community question that you want to ask, now is the time. Anybody have a question?
I do.
All right.
Hey, my question is for Megan. What is the franchise assessment link? If you can drop it in the chat.
So if you go to the integration, do you see the one that says integrationtranscure.com, blah, blah, blah. If you go to that one and select on that, it will say, do you want oh gosh, where is it? I'm pulling it up too. It'll say, would you like me to send you the personal franchise assessment? If you just hit yes on that, it'll go to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Got it. Yeah.
Emma, it's James. Can I make a comment here, if I may? Not a
Sure.
question.
Sure.
My background after the military was business, and I had the opportunity to work with the SCORE people. Ryan is right on target. There's a lot of good information there. There's a ton of videos that people can watch. And Ryan and I have spoken, and he actually referred me on to one of his consultants, Damon, and Damon took my perspective of my business and really made me look at it in a different manner, which is, I think, going to have a really tremendous impact. So if I had a hat on, Ryan, I'd take it off to you and Damon. Great group.
All right.
Thank you, James. Damon is very excellent at what he does. He's been doing consulting for a long time, and he really knows what he's talking about. But I do appreciate that, and I'll make sure I let him know that you said so.
Okay. Another question for the panel or for the community? I actually have one. I'm not sure if it needs to go to Ryan or Megan, but the Boots to Business workshop. This is actually something that I did when I was still on active duty. I went to the Transition Assistance Center up at Leavenworth, and I didn't have a business idea. I just I've been an organizational leader before. What's this all about? So that's actually where I met Darcella. I've known her since before I got out of the Army. But as far as the Boots to Business workshop, when and where are they being done, or are they?
I can kind of start to answer that, and then Ryan, you can jump in and say, Megan, you're wrong. They're all Zoom. right now. So basically, I can't even tell you how many I've done. I think I have another one this week, another one next week, but it's basically, they're all via Zoom. They have started with some locations where they'll allow members to actually be present, where they're actually at the facility. But as far as presenters, I've just logged in and been presenting like this. Ryan, is that kind of what you've been seeing too?
Yeah, so I'm going to drop a link in the chat to the event center. Just kidding. Sorry. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to the event center where you can find information on the different boots to business and things that are going to be available. And just like Megan had said, because of COVID and everything, it's kind of nationwide at this point. Used to be it was region specific. So like as Emma said, if you were at Leavenworth, then you went to the Leavenworth Boots to Business. But now since they're all being conducted online, you can basically go to any of them if you have time. And so some posts are starting to go back into person. I know we have a couple of them of the smaller posts that are like, hey, we want you to come and start presenting in person under COVID restrictions and things like that. But it really is just post dependent. I think that as we move further in the year and posts start to open up more, it'll change. But for now, most of them are conducted online.
Okay. Are they still several days long, or is it just kind of like an all-day conference type of a thing?
Yeah, so they're 2 day long. They're supposed to be 2 days and 8-hour days. Our Boots to Business, our outreach coordinator, Mitch, has actually done a phenomenal job with cutting them to where they're 2 days, 8 to noon. And the reason being is because you don't get hardly any interaction with people doing them over Zoom and other types of platforms. And so instead of just wasting people's time, we try to be sensitive of your time and everything that you have going on. And so we were able to cut them down, but they're 2 days, 2 days, still 8 to noon. And then the reboots are actually 1 day is 1 day and it's 8 to noon as well.
Okay. It was at that workshop that I got introduced to SCORE and some of the resources that you gave. So very good. Yeah.
And I highly recommend, and like you said, even if you don't know if you're going to be in entrepreneurship or anything like that, attend the course, because it has a lot of great information and a lot of great resources. They're at no cost to veterans and their family members. And so utilize them, utilize us. We're here. We want to help you. We want you to be successful in what you do. Right. And so.
Yeah. Another thing, as far as plugging these particular classes, I would recommend them for all service members, because the mindset that we all operate under when we're in service is needs of the nation, needs of the military. And when you're going into the next thing after the military, where are you going? You're going to work for somebody who owns a business. So just kind of getting into the mindset of what matters to these people. What kind of considerations, what kind of risks and rewards do they have in their minds as business people? So even though you're not going to be running one potentially, now you have a little bit of a shift in the way that you think in how you show up for work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. And I think that one thing that I find that we get veterans in that struggle with is that transition of military terminology to civilian terminology. And, there's a gap, to say the least. And so,
yeah.
And I struggled with that too when I got out. It's like you get used to thinking one way for so long that whenever you try to make that transition, you're kind of like deer in the headlights sometimes, right? Right. Doing exactly what you said, even if you may not be getting into business for yourself, going there and learning some of the terminology, just learning information, and kind of having that bridge over that gap of transition is very, very useful, very beneficial for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like
a quick question. I don't know if anyone can answer this.
Okay, good.
I run a fairly large construction home services company in Wisconsin, and I'm always looking to hire military. I mean, I am always looking to hire military. I hire tons of military. I work with the VA here to help bring people into transition efforts. I do all that, but I mean, is there a resource out there that is exclusively for veterans looking for jobs in an area or something like that? Because I would even pick up on that and align efforts against that. I have a lot of veterans that work here, and I'll take somebody that had an MOS or a skill set in the military, and I'll retrain them at my cost for whatever they're interested in doing. You want to become an electrician? All right, let's get you on your path. You want to become a master HVAC technician? Let's get you on your path. You want to be a plumber? Let's get you on your path, right? What do you want to do? You tell me what you want to do, and I'm going to help you get there. And that's helped us tremendously grow by having that type of mentality with them. But I've found the most success with veterans, and I'm always looking to hire more. So is there any resource out there that I can tap into that I can get more veterans coming to me or reach out to them?
So what I'd like to share about the military support community is that the average person in America appreciates our military. They just don't understand them very well. So reaching out to them and wanting to support them, a lot of them don't know how. So there is not any type of aggregator for the military talent pool. Part of that is because of the protective nature of our government system for who these men and women are, right? It's not an accessible database or whatnot for the population outside of the government. But part of I didn't talk about it in the paper, that research paper that I mentioned in the introduction. In that research paper of that they did, one of the things that they actually state in the paper is that it's to the communities that men and women veterans return. So there's support within every community. It's just not very well connected. So part of what a lot of advocates and people like me are doing with the Purple Connection, with other metros that have a vibrant and active military support community, is to get the people who want to kind of aggregate the resources to know who each other are. And it has to be done locally. So if you're in Wisconsin, I think Dan is also in Wisconsin, but if you are in Wisconsin and you are in a metro where the resources are not well connected, then it needs to be kind of a local community effort to aggregate what the resources are where you are. Because nationally, there isn't like an aggregated database. There's a lot of nonprofits that are online now where they're sharing resources, but you have to plug in locally to know whether or not the resources available are specific to where you are.
Sounds like an opportunity there. That's what that sounds to me.
Yep. So joining the Purple Connection and what we're doing with American Warriors through the ACA Business Club is an effort to try to create, boots on the ground, pockets of support where people who are in transition or planning for it know that there is a spot in town that they can plug into and ask those type of questions. And then the people in the community know to also stop there to like, hey, I am looking for military talent. So that's all kind of a long range growth plan and strategy. And, the more people that we can get involved in this community in that type of mindset, the more that we're going to be able to actually welcome our men and women home and be able to help them reintegrate more quickly.
Emma, if I could add something real quick. Seth, I'm in the construction industry down here in Kansas City. I've been very involved with Associated Builders and Contractors. I've done a lot of workforce development with that organization throughout the Kansas City metro area. I've done some reaching out to our local bases. It hasn't been well received or as well received as I would like, because I think there's a lost ability there. One thing you might want to tap into would be your local National Guard representatives and the reserve centers there, because a lot of these young kids don't realize how much money can be made in the trades right now. They've been schooled over and over in their military time that everything is about getting a degree from wherever, and then they're going to make a large amount of money. What they don't realize is that you can bring them in in 4 years, they can be licensed and making probably at least 1.5 to 2 times what they're going to make if they get an online degree in leadership from from an organization without a plan on moving forward beyond that. So I've had some success with that. So that might be an option for you since you're not located near any bases. So.
And I would kind of say maybe reach out if you have any local community colleges or any type of college near you, reach out. Because
yeah, I do that right now. I do community college, the trade schools, colleges. I mean,
and the only reason why I was saying,
I do like the breakfast meetings with them, like, you know, how to do well. And I do stuff like that. I help the transition programs. I think that, you know, when I got out of the military, I had left the White House Communications Agency and I had all this experience and I didn't have a good way to put it all together and reach out to people that could help me crystallize that experience into a really great career really fast. Like, so for me, I struggled a little bit and I'd like to be able to have the opportunity, and I embrace the opportunity whenever I can to make sure that other people don't struggle like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, maybe there's something I can do locally, like create like a Milwaukee veterans group or something with the VA, and maybe some link, because I already run a couple other groups on LinkedIn. But there's definitely an opportunity there to do better, right? Because I just think that that's a huge missed opportunity. And
yes,
some of these guys, they get out from the military and, they're a fire control guy, or, they were, a mess specialist or a cook or something, right? And they're like, I don't want to do that the rest of my life, right? I don't want to go work in a restaurant.
Here's what I would suggest.
We can get you there. Yeah.
There is a resource to where civilians and folks who have affinity or experience with transition, it's an online kind of matching platform called Vodarick. And the people who are on it, who are the volunteer mentors, they're people like you who been there, done that. They're looking for military talent, and they want to help improve awareness and or understanding of what's next. And when you go on there as a service person, it's kind of like a matchmaking type of a platform, but it is the mentee to a mentor. I'm on it, have been on it since it started in 2016. And whether or not the mentees who ask to talk to you are going to end up where you are, you volunteer some time to talk to them about the challenges or concerns that they may have. And they have the ability to link up with as many mentors as they choose to ask for an appointment. So I'll put the information in the chat channel. So anybody in the community, if you want to do this, it's very easy to get on it and become a mentor or be a mentee and ask for mentoring. All right, so the Q&A period is over. We're going to move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is our transition tip. Okay. Want to thank everyone who contributed to the conversation in the
All right, enjoy dinner.
All right, so the transition tip is going to be presented to us by Dave Vodarick. He is a retired Army major who is now a business owner of several businesses, to include a franchise. Today, he's going to talk to us about some of the risk, reward, and other things to consider regarding franchise ownership. Dave?
Hey, good evening. So a little bit about me. You already hit it up. I retired from the Army in 2016 out of Fort Leavenworth. We decided to stay here in Kansas. So I'd already decided that. So I actually opened my first business up here in Kansas City in the Leavenworth, Lansing area before I even transitioned out. So I'm kind of uniquely probably postured to do an evaluation of this because I actually own 3 businesses, 2 with my wife and 1 with a friend of mine. One is completely from scratch, BV Contracting Solutions, which is my primary day job. We started that in October and are really just hammering away at that thing. So with that one coming straight off the ground, we're learning as we go. We've both been in the construction and service trades for a while. So we do both residential and commercial maintenance and repairs. We are a licensed contractor. My second business, the one I opened up before I retired out, was a a twice the ice self-service ice machine business. So we started out with 2 of those machines. I've got 3 of those now, Lansing, Leavenworth, and 1 out in Lawrence, Kansas at Kansas University. And that one is kind of a hybrid. So it's not a franchise, but we have the ability to leverage all the knowledge and the support of the company. We use them for marketing. We use their logos. They provide the ability to buy parts and all that, but I don't pay royalties on that. And then the third business is School Spirit Vending, and that is our true franchise. So that School Spirit Vending, we do sticker vending machines and gel pen machines in elementary schools. And where that franchise model comes in on that is it was a tried and true model. When I was looking for something to augment my ice business, I wanted something that was going to kind of offset. So summer is obviously super busy in the ice business. I wanted something that was going to offset that. So leaning towards something that focused on the school years was a natural fit for it. I wanted something that my wife could do while I was working doing something else. And the vending business got me into looking for something that makes money while I'm not there every day being involved with it. So that's kind of the big 3 factors that I had. So everyone says, well, why would I want to pay money to someone just for a business idea? Why not do it yourself? And for me, it was a no-brainer. So this system came out of Texas. It was a proven model. They had already developed the equipment that was used in the schools. They had developed the pipeline and the supply chain of stickers and gel pens to put it in there. So I already had a ready-made place to go purchase all of that when I bought in. In addition to that, they gave protected territories, which was important to me. For someone to come in and start from scratch, it's not that it's not possible, but there is a definite barrier to entry if you're starting from scratch. And that I'm always looking for businesses that require a barrier to entry, because anything can be replicated for the most part, but I want it to be something that's going to require someone to really focus and want to be all in if they want to try to beat me at my own game locally. So in addition to that, it came with a wealth of knowledge, not only from the franchisor, who was very friendly, but also from the other owners. And I had learned that in my ice business with the ability to leverage information online through Facebook owners groups. We do weekly or monthly mastermind calls with School Spirit Vending, where all the owners can come together and share their information and what they're seeing. And where that really came in handy was during COVID, right? So nothing got hit harder than schools, except maybe restaurants and bars with COVID. And every school was treating things differently. And we were able to leverage TTPs, lessons learned from across the country on ways that we could utilize information to get schools to try to let us operate our machines to get into the schools. We would have schools in the same school district that would all be following different guidelines. So in some ways, we were trying to assist the schools in building their own procedures to allow these things to occur. And it was already said earlier that veterans do very well with franchises, and I've seen that. So if you've ever had to implement a left seat, right seat ride, or turned a job or a mission over to someone, that's exactly what franchising is. So if you can come in, if you can follow a playbook, you can execute that. And I would say should be successful as long as you buy into the right franchise. So some of the cons to it to me are, if you are truly an entrepreneur, franchises may not be the right thing for you. Okay, because if you think you're going to go in there and revolutionize everything in your one little business as an entrepreneur, then you are probably not looking in the right area. The thing about franchises, they're successful because they follow the same playbook everywhere. And if you don't like that, then you're not going to be successful in it. You've got to make sure that you interview your franchise as much as they're interviewing you when you're buying in. So oftentimes, and you guys, if you just Google it, you can see plenty of stories about franchisees who are very unhappy with their franchise. Okay. There's been issues with Subway over the years. There's been issues with Curves over the years. Make sure you understand the franchise documents completely. It's probably the most regulated industry I think I've ever had to look into. I was surprised at how closely the government manages and regulates franchises. But that's for a reason, because it's to keep people from buying into something that they don't know. Okay, so make sure you're doing your research. Make sure you feel comfortable with the person that you're buying into. And you have to remember, those franchise documents are key, because that person may not always be involved. Or they can modify things based on what's in the franchise document. So you may think you're buying into one thing, and next thing you know that the system is changing, but you've got to understand that up front. And then you've got to understand your full cost. So I've seen franchise fees anywhere from 5% of total revenue to, I met someone that's got one this week that we're working with down here in Kansas City, and he's paying 14% of total revenue in franchise fees. You've got to make sure that when you buy into your business, you understand what the margins are and what your total costs are going to be, so that you can still be profitable and survive with that franchise. So if you don't understand that, plus any other ancillary fees, whether they do annual marketing leverages or anything like that for nationwide marketing campaigns, you've got to make sure that you understand all your costs all in. So my experience has been good. We've been real happy. I feel very confident that the fees that I'm paying are worthwhile for what I'm receiving. I do feel that it was a good fit for us, and that most of the owners in the franchise share the same values to us, which was also important to me. I don't want to feel like I'm ever being left out in an awkward position because the company that I've bought into is using a different line of thinking or reasoning than I feel comfortable with. So other than that, I would strongly say use the resources that are out there that Ryan and some of the others have talked about. I've leveraged the SBDC. I've leveraged Kauffman Center. Currently Bunker Labs Veteran and Residents for their first virtual cohort. There is a lot of opportunities out there that people are willing to do for vets. You've just got to do the research. You've got to do the legwork. If I tell people all the time when they're transitioning out, if you think that you're going to walk out that gate and people are just going to dump a bunch of jobs in your lap, then you're falling for the nonsense that is being put out to folks out there. Is there a lot of capability and potential out there for veterans? Absolutely. But if you think that you don't have to chase it, then you're fooling yourself. So you've got to go out there and prove to business owners why that you can provide value to them. It's not not them hiring you, it's you getting hired by them. So pending any questions.
All right. Very good. 5 seconds left. Time management. Perfect. All right. So we are on to the next thing. Thank you to all of our presenters. It was such a great bit of education, as well as some networking for people to link up, follow up after the event for more information. Just kind of wet the whistle a little bit there. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So if you are interested in continuing to participate more intentionally in facilitated conversations like those introduced today, I invite you to become an American Warrior of the ACA Business Club. So becoming an American Warrior affords you with a lot of benefits. So when you're a member of the club, you can be an American Warrior, but you can also have access to more than 20 other interest groups. If you are in business, you can join a business development team. You have access to all of the club's organized and sponsored events, whether they're online or at your local facilities. You have access to information of members and locations through the directory for all of the members in the club. And there are opportunities for live as well as virtual networking and learning every week in all manners of engagement. There's also leadership opportunities for teams, groups, or clubs. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, just contact me. The Purple Connection and Strength Profile workshops are things that I do every month through my business, Tubes Consulting. We're a member of the club, have been for about 7 years now. And the American Warriors have some routine events as well. The American Warriors discussion group is every 4th Thursday. So it's next week, 2 to 3 p.m. It can be attended locally for those here in Overland Park, but it is also something that can be attended virtually. But basically, it's just a discussion group. Topic of the month is going to be marketing and branding this month. And then the executive committee or the club committees, they also have routine meetings. Next slide. So here are some future events. The American Warriors discussion group, like I mentioned, is next week. The Intro to Strengths Profile workshop is something that I do because of my business of transition coaching. So there is a strengths profile assessment that I talk a little bit about as far as what is this. The first 30 minutes are just an explanation and, why would you want to do it? It is free for that first 30 minutes. For those who want to actually take the assessment, there's a minimal cost to do the assessment and intro, get the intro report. So that's the additional hour of the workshop. This can be done virtually or it can be done online. And then the Purple Connection is every month, as you know, is the third Thursday of the month. Next slide. So next month, our lineup for the Purple Connection is Thursday, June 17th. Our veteran entrepreneur is Bob Hewlin, who is a retired U.S. Army colonel. He is the author of actually several books, but he is the author to Witness to History, Reflections of Cold War Soldier. Our military support nonprofit speaker is going to be Cindy McDermott. She is a retired U.S. Navy Reserves Lieutenant Commander. She is director of the Kansas City Veterans Writing Workshop. Our military-friendly company representative is Elaine Samansky. She's a military spouse. She has her own business, and she's going to be talking about being a writer and editor. And our transition tip is Gary Bloomfield, who is also a U.S. Army veteran. Lots of published books under his byline, and he's going to talk about transition and healing through sharing your story in the written form. So next slide. This is the contact information for me. This also will be in the email that everybody receives of the point of contact information, but give me a call, send me a note, or link in with me on LinkedIn. Next slide. Thank you everyone for being here and sticking around. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. I think we all have that as part of our service heart. So everyone have a good evening and we'll see you all next month.